change our rule about props at this event. Okay. Everybody ready? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's an amazing crowd we have. My name is Jose Garza. I'm the Executive Director of Workers' Defense Action Fund.
Yay.
Thank you. I think many of you know that for over 10 years, Workers' Defense has been fighting side by side with our members to build power for working families across the state of Texas, and especially right here in Central Texas. And this is an incredibly important moment for us as an organization, for our members, but also for our community. So thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a conversation with candidates in key Central Texas races. And as you may know, Workers' Defense Action Fund educates voters about candidates. We mobilize voters who are historically left out of the electoral and legislative process. We fight for working families to have a voice, who are historically, to have a voice and a vote right here in Central Texas. And we will support candidates who will fight for our families once elected and who will pass policies that will lift working families out of poverty. We believe that all workers, all people who work, deserve jobs that are safe, provide benefits, pay a living wage, and offer a pathway to economic security and a good quality of life. We know that the men and women who labor in construction, in the service sector, in retail jobs, in all low-wage jobs in Central Texas are vital and part of a key part of the engine of our local economy, and that they should be able to not only survive, but thrive right here in Austin. I want to just make a quick note and let everyone know that we will be filming this afternoon for internal Workers' Defense documentary purposes. So if you are not keen on being on camera, we would invite you to move to some of the seats in the back, and we will keep our gaze off of you back there. But otherwise, just note that there is a camera in the room. I am really pleased and honored to have the opportunity to introduce two of our key Workers' Defense members of our Committee on Political Education, who have seen the evolution of our organization and I think a positive evolution of politics that benefit working people here in Central Texas. So please help me welcome Jorge and Vicky.
May I ask you, sir, real quick, are you okay with people recording it, or do y'all want to release it a certain way?
I don't think we have any rules prohibiting recording.
Okay, just wanted to respectfully ask that. Thank you.
I appreciate the question.
Buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos. Estamos bien emocionados que estén aquí hoy con nosotros los candidatos para la alcaldía. Mi nombre es Virginia Vadillo y soy miembro de Defensa Laboral y parte del Comité de Educación Pública. Nuestro comité entrevista a los candidatos y hace recomendaciones en si vamos a apoyar a candidatos en las elecciones locales.
Good afternoon, my name is Vicky Vadillo. I'm a member of Workers' Defense Action Fund and part of the COPE. Our committee interviews the candidates and makes recommendations as to whether we will support candidates during the local elections.
Mi nombre es Jorge López, soy miembro del Comité de Educación Política. Obvio, ya están aquí, pero les damos la más cordial bienvenida a todos. Vamos a entrevistar a los candidatos para el concilio de la ciudad de Austin y la alcaldía. Los miembros del comité les van a hacer preguntas. Les vamos a dar 30 segundos para responder a cada pregunta.
Hello, my name is Jorge Lopez. I'm a member of the Committee on Political Education. We will invite all candidates for each race to the stage as a panel. We will be screening candidates running for Austin City Council and candidates running for mayor of the city of Austin. Our committee will ask them questions. We will give you 30 seconds to respond to each question. Many of our questions request a yes or no answer. Please answer yes or no and then provide additional information. Our timekeeper, Anna, is in the front row. She's right over there. We'll let you know when your time is up.
Nuestros primeros candidatos están corriendo para la alcaldía de la ciudad de Austin.
Our first candidates are running for mayor of the city of Austin.
Empezamos con los candidatos para la alcaldía de la ciudad de Austin. Por favor, tomen 30 segundos para decirnos quién es usted y por qué está corriendo como candidato para la alcaldía de Austin.
We will begin with candidates running for the mayor of the city of Austin. Please take 30 seconds to tell us who you are and why you are running for mayor of the city of Austin.
Gracias por compartir.
You may begin.
I'm happy to go first. I'm Steve Adler. I am the mayor of Austin, and I'm hoping to have 4 more years to complete the work that this 10-1 council has begun. I think this is the most labor, worker supportive immigrant families of any council that the city has ever had. Not to be judged on the things we say we're going to do, but the things that we have done. Because we've taken the living wage now up to $15 a square foot. $50 an hour. When we came into office, there were some employees working for the city that were making the minimum wage. We've moved forward on fair chance hiring and on sick leave. The Better Builder program has become a cultural norm in our city. We've passed bonds, and we have one for $250 million for affordable housing coming up in November. But the jobs programs that we have, both with the mobility bond and this, and recognizing that all workers on that are going to make a minimum of $15. We've worked on homelessness, and I'm proud to have the support of the executive director of ECHO, which is the umbrella organization. I spent a lifetime working on these kinds of issues. I was a civil rights lawyer as I began my legal career, and the work we're doing now, the work I did with Jen Austin and Breakthrough, I would appreciate 4 more years to continue this work. Thank you.
Hello, 30 seconds, huh? My name is Laura Morrison, and I'm running because I'm concerned about how many more people are struggling in this town, and people are not even feeling like there's a future for them here. And I think we need to change our perspective. I think we need a mayor who comes from the world of community advocacy, which is what I am from. I was on the city council for 2 terms, from 2008 through 2014, and proud to say that I was honored by Workers' Defense during my terms as a champion for families, along with my colleagues Kathy Tovo and Mike Martinez at the time. We worked tirelessly before Better Builder Standards had a name. We were working, and it was a big push to be able to make some of these changes and introduce these kinds of labor concerns. And I'm anxious to continue that work.
My name is Alex Strenger, and I'm the only candidate with a comprehensive plan to make our city more affordable and reduce traffic. We need a comprehensive land code that the people can vote on so that we can build responsibly and address the number of people that are moving here and not congest our city within the downtown metro area. We need to fingerprint and regulate the number of Uber drivers on the road to not only create more sustainable traffic, but to reduce the number of carbon footprints that are being released into the atmosphere as a result of 1,000+ unregulated drivers permeating our city streets. We know we do not need to offer large tax breaks to California-based businesses to build on city-owned land, 40% of which goes to affordable housing. That's going to go when I get elected. I have this belt, I'm ahead in the polls, and I plan on keeping it for the next 8 years. Thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es Travis Duncan. Muchas gracias por la invitación y oportunidad para compartir a todos. Y en español entiendo más que hablo, pero estoy agradecido para su presencia, su corazón, su luz. Y estoy escuchando. Me encanta escuchando. Es importante para mí. My name is Travis. I am from Texas. My family has been in Texas for nearly 200 years. But I do want to take a moment and let's honor the indigenous people who were here before us, who stood on this land for thousands of years, los pueblos indígenas de esta tierra. And as far as I know, we are the first mayoral campaign in history to be proposing universal health care, a network of people-owned, worker-owned cooperatives, 100% renewable energy, ecological protection, and a mass accelerated incentivized program to liberate ourselves. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Gracias por compartir. Ahora Comenzaremos con nuestras preguntas. Recuerden que tendrán 30 segundos para contestar y si la pregunta requiere un sí o un no, por favor primero diga sí o no y después de más información.
Thank you for sharing. We will now begin with our questions. Please remember you have 30 seconds to respond, and if the question requires a yes or no, please respond first with yes or no and then give additional information.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Rogelio Cipriano, and I have the first question for you. The Better Building Program creates good jobs in the construction industry by establishing minimum standards on construction sites. These standards include a living wage for all construction workers, OSHA 10-hour safety training for all workers, workers' compensation coverage, local hiring goals to place workers in approved skill training programs, and accredited independent on-site monitoring to ensure these standards are met. In your questionnaires, you each committed to incorporate these standards onto projects where the city has the ability to require higher workers' protection, including public improvement districts, density bonus programs, tax increment financing, abatements, and other city development programs designed for the utilization of private developers. Please publicly affirm your support with a simple yes or no.
Yes? Yes, I support this. You're addressing me, right?
No, I'm addressing all of you.
All right.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, and I'm proud that we've made it a cultural norm now in the city. Virtually no contract gets approved now without that guarantee.
Ms. Morrison?
Yes, absolutely, and I'm glad to see the conversation expanding. It was a tough haul the first time we did it with Green Water Treatment Plant, I think. And so it's really a move forward in protecting the people that live here.
Still okay?
I'll say yes as a baseline, and you mentioned the word minimum in there because I think it is kind of a minimum protection that we need now, immediately. But I would take it further, and I would say that we need a system of worker-owned cooperative development companies. So it is the people's right to develop the land long-term, and that the workers are profit sharing instead of being extracted from. It's regenerative for the community.
I would also like to add that I think that to expand upon what I said, a happy and well-protected workforce is not only going to work harder at their jobs, but they're going to be more involved in keeping Austin, in allowing Austin to continue to become the amazing city that it already is.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Yesenia Hernández y esta pregunta es para todos los candidatos. La mayoría de nuestros miembros trabajan para pequeños negocios. ¿Usted cree que las protecciones para trabajadores, incluyendo días de enfermedad pagados, deben aplicar a todos los trabajadores sin importar el tamaño del negocio en que trabajan? Por favor, responder sí o no.
Hello, my name is Yesenia Hernandez. This question is for all of you. Most of our members at Workers' Defense are employed by small employers. Do you agree that basic worker protections, including the right to earn paid sick time, should apply to all workers, regardless of the size or kind of employer that they work for? Please answer yes or no.
I moved here now.
The answer to that is yes, and I was happy to vote that way. And just 2 weeks ago, I was testifying in front of House Committee, who looked like they're going to try to take that away from us in support of that in the hearing in Houston. We know that the court yesterday, or Friday, stayed the implementation of that, but it didn't go to the merits of the case, and we will continue a vigorous defense of that. I've also worked with the cities of San Antonio, the mayors there, and in Dallas, trying to expand, as we have in San Antonio now, so that it's also available in cities other than just Austin.
Yes, I do support that, and as mayor would definitely plan to promote a vigorous defense and make sure that local control is a very important thing in this city for us to be able to implement our own values and not have them dictated from the top down, so absolutely.
Yes, I do support that. I would like to add that I think that there should be a minimum number of workers in order for that to be implemented, maybe 5 to 10, and it's something I'm willing to talk to and work with the Workers Defense Action Fund about. Just because a company that is just getting started, that is kind of low on capital, I want to make it so that all companies have an equal and fair opportunity to make it and contribute and add to the greater good of the city. But I do agree with it, but I think that there should be a minimum number of employees so that the company can have a chance to have a profit and develop more and employ more people.
I will also say yes, and again, I think we do need to look at things in a bigger context and a whole system approach, looking at how we can incentivize rather than penalize, incentivize cooperation, and incentivize the outcomes that we want, I think, for maximum vitality. I think we can really go much further with this, and I think it starts with us establishing that the people, all of us here, all of us citizens, we are the ones that give the authority to the state to begin with. And I think it's important that we take a little bit of a stronger fight to the state, but a fight in a cooperative sense, that we assert our authority to protect people. Thank you.
Disculpe, esta pregunta es solamente para Steve Adler. En el pasado hemos escuchado a promotores y asociaciones abogar por la expedición acelerada de permisos y revisiones rápidas de sitio. El año pasado la ciudad aprobó una ordenanza expedita de permisos que exigen que los grandes desarrolladores se comprometan con los beneficios comunitarios. Como alcalde, se comprometió a exigir que cualquier proceso acelerado de revisión de plan de sitio propugnado por los desarrolladores esté sujeto a los beneficios de la comunidad, incluidos los estándares de Better Builders. Por favor, respóndanos sí o no.
This question is for Mayor Adler only. In the past, we have heard developers and industry associations advocate for expedited permitting and expedited site plan review. And last year, the city did pass an expedited permitting ordinance that requires large developers to commit to community benefits. As mayor, will you commit requiring that any expedited site plan review process advocated for by developers is subjected to community benefits, including better builder standards? Please answer this right now.
The answer to that is yes, in the way that we did that. And with the ordinance that we passed, push that forward, and hopefully we can be able to expand that program. I also think that we should have expedited benefits. Community benefits need to be the base of any time we do expedited permitting. And I hope that we can do expedited permitting for things like auxiliary dwelling units that would be put in the back of someone's home, or the ability to be able to do repairs or additions on people's homes when they're small, so that they can stay in place, small businesses, so that they can stay in the city. The answer to that is yes.
Texas is the only state that allows an employer to opt out of providing workers' compensation coverage to its employees. Many workers who are injured on the job often do not have access to the medical care or financial support that they need to recover from their injury, pay their bills, and return to work. What measures would you propose to support residents in your district who suffer workplace injuries while working for employees who do not carry workers' compensation insurance? You have 1 minute to answer. Mayor Adler?
The answer to that is yes. I think Texas is the only state in the country that doesn't require workers' compensation, and it's a travesty that we don't do that. We need to find out what we can do as a city, and certainly Austin's never been afraid to push the envelope. I think there would be legal issues with respect to us ordering by ordinance the inclusion of workers' compensation. but we should test that envelope the same that we tested with the other things that we pass. But in the absence of that, the MAP program that employees are then relegated to is insufficient to be able to solve the issue. And I would be supportive of creating within the city an injured workers fund so that there would be other avenues. We're doing everything we can to ensure the safety of the workers we have, and that's part of the Better Builders program. But we should be pushing the envelope because that's what Austin is expected to do and what we've done.
Ms. Morrison.
I would agree with that, and I guess I would like to just add a note that I think that, you know, I worked closely with Workers Defense when I was on the council and really found that the organization was a wealth of expertise and resources in terms of really helping to define the next issue that we need to deal with and bring to light the critical issues affecting the families that live here. And so I would look forward to working with you all and finding ways to really address that.
Yes, I 100% agree with absolute certainty, and I plan on using my powerful voice to voice my opposition to Texas being the only state that doesn't do that. I also propose that we offer tax breaks to businesses that have a comprehensive record of offering workers' compensation and benefits, and these benefits must be well documented to the public. We want to incentivize and reward and show companies that we appreciate them for taking care of workers who get sick and injured on the job.
I'll say yes as well. Again, when we have a universal healthcare system, which is possible in the city, and when we declare our sovereignty from the state as a sovereign municipal land zone, which I believe is possible already within Texas Constitution, we can do whatever we need to do to protect our workers. And I'm always going to advocate for the maximum protections, the maximum benefits. And I think when you have worker-owned development companies, worker-owned cooperatives, you're not going to have these problems. And you know, I think we have missed the mark, and there are companies that are probably receiving taxpayer funds right now that do not honor life, do not honor workers, that are exacerbating our ecological problems, which in turn comes back to bite us in terms of our physiological health, the environmental racism and violence and toxicity. And so it's important to look at things in a whole system approach. Yes, absolutely, and let's take it further.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sylvia Martinez, and my question is, in 2015, the city owns Neighborhood Housing and Community Development Department says the living wage for Austin was $16.83. We have just here that the city manager has recommended increasing the living wage to $15 in fiscal year 2019. And while we appreciate that increase brings us in line with other progressive cities around the country, we are concerned that our living wage continues to lag behind the actual cost of living in Austin. Would you support instead indexing the city living wage to the cost of living, including housing, in order to quickly close the top gap? Please answer yes or no.
I'll go first this time for a change. Absolutely, and when we first put in a living wage, I think something like $11 an hour, it was the first time, it was a big budget hit. We took the first step. We did put in an index so that it would continue to go up. And I want to raise another related issue that's really, really troublesome that I think we all need to be aware of. And that is that I understand that our retirees from the city of Austin have not received a cost of living adjustment for over a decade, and that more than that they've lost on average more than 40% of their buying power. To me, that is a travesty. It means that we're basically driving our retirees into poverty, losing their buying power, and I think it's imperative that we take that up either with a cost of living adjustment if that's possible, or to start putting some money into the general fund for stipends if we're not allowed to do, if the pension won't handle a cost of living raise. But you know, we can't forget about the people that spent their careers and their lives working for the city.
You guys wanna go? I mean, I was going first all the time.
I thought we
wanna
just
take
have it
it.
I'll go, yeah, please. Absolutely, yes. I think it's important to remember that the only reason this is a major problem is that we have been deceived into paying for Earth's resources, which no private entity actually owns. So what we have to do is we have to look at things in a parallel track. So yes, $15 minimum wage as it increases with inflation, but where's that money going to? It's paying for the utility bill, it's paying for living on Earth, it's paying for taxes, it's paying for water and food and basic survival. So what we need to do is we need to build that parallel system, begin the process. We haven't even started yet. We have not started to begin the process of decommodifying living on Earth, so that water, food, housing, utilities, these are basic functions that we've just figured out how to make free for everybody. And not free in the taxation and redistribution sense, free in the sense that we work cooperatively to eliminate those costs so that people's wages can go toward things like investing in themselves, investing in a business or becoming an entrepreneur, not just paying to barely survive and make it. So we have to address the root causes as well.
I 100% believe that we definitely have the funds in the budget for a livable wage increase. We operate at, I believe, a $4 billion surplus. I could be wrong about the exact details, but I know that we're one of the top grossing cities economically in the entire United States. Not only do we have enough money, I believe, for a livable wage increase, but I think more importantly, we have the budget and the funds to provide rent subsidies to local businesses, businesses that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years that are a cornerstone and a framework for the amazing history that this city has to offer. And we need to keep our local businesses, we need to keep our history intact, and we have the resources and ability to do that. I also believe that offering subsidies to local businesses that start up in Austin, that are Austin made, with 10 or more employees is a great way to not only create jobs, but it's a really, really powerful way to help give a sense of ownership and entrepreneurship to a lot of our Black and Hispanic populations so that we can help address the income inequality permeating the east side of Austin.
We need to institutionalize the increase in the living wage. Remember when we started with the Step 1 Council, as it came in, the living wage was like $11.39, and we set a goal to get it to $15 by the year 2020. I think that joined by, I'm sure, my colleagues on the council, working with the city manager and lobbying him to have in his budget reaching that $15 goal earlier than we had set the goal to be. And it's in the manager's base budget, which helps ensure that it's going to be something that gets adopted. But not only has the wage gone up, but this 10-1 council has stepped out to make sure that it was available for part-time workers and for temporary workers. That was something that didn't happen before. Insurance protections for part-time workers and temporary workers in ways that did not happen before as well. This is one of the few tools that we have as a city to be able to find equity in our community, and we need to continue to push that envelope as well.
En este clima político actual, las familias inmigrantes han estado bajo ataque y en riesgo de deportación. A menudo llamamos a los funcionarios electos a utilizar su oficina para abogar por la libertad de un miembro de la comunidad y detener los procedimientos de deportación. Se comprometen a estar con nosotros, con nuestros miembros y usar su poder para luchar. Responda por favor sí o no. Puede empezar si gusta.
In this current political climate, immigrant families are under attack and at risk of deportation. We often call on elected officials to use their office to advocate for the release of a community member and halt of deportation proceedings. Do you commit to stand with our members and use your power to fight back? Please answer yes or no.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really important for us to remember and bring to the forefront of the conversation that many of the people that are in the deportation process and that are in the detention facilities have family lineage and history that is indigenous to this area for thousands of years. So it's important to recognize that. Absolutely yes. I think the answer to this lies in the Texas Constitution, and where the people are the ones that give the authority to the government in the first place. And if they are not protecting life and liberty and our safety of members of our community, then we need to step up and we need to assert our authority to protect all people. So actually, there's a lot of depth to this, and immigration is something very dear to my family's heart as well. We're a border family as well. So thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I 100% agree. Nobody loves our city's Hispanic population more than I do. And I want to say this, our city, I think we do a pretty good job of addressing these issues. We're a very progressive city. We passed the Freedom Cities bill in June, I believe, with the council. I think what we need to do and what we really need to focus on, that hasn't really been said yet, is we need to focus on keeping our Hispanic families here in Austin. We do not need to give tax breaks to large California companies to build on city-owned land where we're 2 years behind our affordable housing initiative. We need to keep our Hispanic families here in this city, because when we push out our poor Hispanic families to Bastrop, to Del Valley, those counties and those towns are not freedom cities. So I think one of the best ways that we can address this issue is to keep our Hispanic population here in Austin.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the important roles that a mayor or city council member can play, and I would definitely be invested in standing up for members of our community. You know, we need to be protecting, providing safety, and really providing for the needs of all of the residents in the city of Austin, whatever those are. And if someone is, if Workers Defense is working with someone that needs to be released, I would definitely be part of that. And I want to mention that, you know, in 2012, I think it was, maybe 2013, I worked with grassroots leadership to, for the first time, stand up to the sheriff, who was cooperating with ICE at that time, and asked, you know, the power that the city had at that point was, well, we did business with them, and maybe we would pull our business. So we along with Mike Martinez, we stood up and pushed to have at least explore opportunities for using something other than the jail.
Yes, every time there's been an opportunity to use this position in order to help protect residents in our community, some that have gone into churches to seek asylum and safety, I have been supportive of that. But on so many other things, I'm again proud to be part of this 10-1 Council and our work on immigrant matters, taking public funding and increasing the amount for legal assistance for residents in our community, going with most of the members of my council to Tornillo to work on the separation issue, going to Washington to meet with the Attorney General and then the Director of Homeland Security on the sanctuary city issue and to argue against losing local funds. I have spent many hours and many days and many evenings with our immigrant community so that visibly and physically they could see and feel the leadership of this city standing beside them. Actually, our work on immigrant affairs is some of the most among the work I'm most proud of on this council.
Queremos invitarlos a que firmen nuestro compromiso de Build a Better Austin para comprometerse públicamente con las siguientes acciones que se han discutido hoy y en nuestro cuestionario. Debe apoyar a todos para firmar.
We wish to invite you to sign our Build a Better Austin pledge to publicly commit to the following actions that we have discussed today and in your questionnaire, and you must support all of them to sign.
Elevar los estándares de trabajo de la construcción al requerir ver builder en los sitios de construcción donde la ciudad tiene el poder para hacerlo.
Raise construction working standards by requiring better builder on construction sites where the city has the power to do so, such as ground leases, PIDs, etc.
Trabajar con nosotros para implementar y expandir las políticas de Freedom Cities para reducir las disparidades raciales que criminalizan a las personas de color y para implementar políticas que interrumpen la línea de arresto a la deportación.
Work with us to implement and expand the Freedom Cities policies, to reduce racial disparities that criminalize people of color, and to implement policies that disrupt the arrest-to-deportation pipeline.
Crear un departamento dedicado para hacer cumplir la política de días de enfermedad pagados, la política de Austin para la no discriminación por orientación sexual e identidad de género y otras protecciones para los trabajadores y miembros de la comunidad.
Create a dedicated department to enforce paid sick leave, Austin's policy for non-discrimination for sexual orientation and gender identity, and other protections for workers and community members.
Usar su poder como alcalde para apoyar a los miembros inmigrantes de nuestra comunidad cuando estén en proceso de deportación.
Use your power as mayor to support immigrant members of our community when they are in deportation proceedings.
Implementar políticas para cuidar a los trabajadores lesionados que no están cubiertos por compensación laboral de parte de su empleador.
Implement policies to care for injured workers who are not covered by workers' compensation from their employer.
Luchar para implementar y proteger la ley de días de enfermedad pagados de Austin.
Fight to implement and protect Austin's paid sick leave policy as passed. If you want to commit and sign on to our pledge, we invite you to come and sign.
Do we need to leave room for all the other candidates as
Yes,
well?
please.
Okay.
We're trying to get all of y'all to sign.
Whoops.
Este es el final de nuestras preguntas. Gracias por su tiempo esta tarde. Ahora vamos a tomar un descanso de 2 minutos mientras el próximo grupo de candidatos se unen con nosotros. Si los candidatos del Concilio de Austin Distrito 9 pueden empezar a acomodarse en el escenario.
This is the end of our questions. Thank you for your time this afternoon. We will take a 2-minute break while our next group of candidates join us. If candidates for Austin City Council District 9 could please join us on the stage.
Do you have a blue shirt? Can we get you in a photo with any blue shirt? You want to be in a photo?
It would make a lot of money, I would say.
Stringer, hold the belt up. Hold it up. Above your head.
Absolutely.